Hello. Okay, so I just have like the questions on my phone and then just like little notes written down. So here we go. So what experience were you expecting going into field, and did your placement fit that expectation? So because it was only like 2 weeks, I was like expecting just like to be thrown into a classroom, not really knowing what to do, especially because we haven't really learned anything in any of our classes. I feel like because we were working like in a special ed classroom, we are gonna work with the same students every day, and in like the 2 weeks that we were there, we were able to develop like a small relationship with the students, and so we didn't get to know. I feel like we weren't gonna be able to get to know the students super well, but like just enough to like gain a relationship with them so that they feel comfortable with us. I feel like comfortableness was like a huge thing for me. Did it fit that expectation? Yes, it was crazy with COVID and everything. We were definitely just thrown into it. We actually were working in 2 special ed classrooms at Rock Canyon Elementary School. And so, one, because we were there for 4 days with the students there, because Fridays they weren't there. And because we're in 2 different classrooms, sorry about my nail polish. We really didn't have a whole lot of time to get to know the students, which wasn't the best, but I feel like the students that were more outgoing, we were able to get to know better, like naturally. But the ones that were like more quiet, or we just didn't get to spend time with, we just didn't really know them super well, which was super sad. Tell about one student or occurrence that may have inspired you as a teacher. Okay, for confidentiality, the student's name will be Ashley. So Ashley has a lot of factors against her with her learning. She was born with an umbilical cord wrapped around her neck at birth, and so she had a lack of oxygen. She has a hearing loss and has a hearing aid that's hereditary in her family, hearing losses. She has auditory processing disorder, and she has retrieval problems, so like she has a really hard time remembering things. She's in 1st grade, but she can't even remember like more than half of the letters in the alphabet and like what sounds they make, and so they're honestly just working with her to know and remember. I think they were working with like 6 different letters right now, and so just of like how the other special ed teachers were talking about her, like I already like felt defeated. That like, you can try whatever you want with her, but like good luck, she might not know anything, she might not remember. Like, do your best. And so I already like felt defeated. I was like, this is not gonna work. This lesson is gonna be a fail. But the lesson actually went super well. We went over 4 different letters with her, and she was able to, by the end of our lesson, like remember the letters, remember their names, and think of like words that started with those letters, and remember the sounds that correlate with them, which was like super awesome. So I think the lesson that I learned was like, don't let opinions of other teachers affect your view on your student. Like, obviously take their information, their information and suggestions into consideration, but like, don't 100% make your judgment based off of what other people say. Especially because everyone has different views of teaching and students, so. And just like, you have to endure as a teacher that like sometimes students are hard to deal with and that their goals are hard to accomplish, but like you just have to endure and have hope, because if you don't, the students won't. What specific teaching or classroom management would you like to implement in your own classroom, and why? Use examples of your field experience. So most of these questions come from like one of the main special ed classes that we were in with Mrs. King. She was like our coordinating teacher. So she uses a point system, and it's all based off of like the classroom rules, and so it's not just like randomized points given to the students. It's specifically based off the classroom rules, which I really liked. I think when I was in elementary school, I loved like the point system, like earning rewards and whatnot. And so I think having a point system of some sort is super helpful. She doesn't use like a punishment system where like she takes away points. She will not do that, which I agree with. And I really like that it's based off of the classroom rules, so like the students know this is how you get points. This is what I need to do to earn whatever goal I'm working towards in the classroom. And she also uses songs and like body cues to like teach kids skills. And so like to teach them long division, it was like divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. And so like just doing like stuff like that, like come up with simple cues that involve like body movements and song. Like I think that's super helpful for teaching kids, because my first grade teacher taught me how to spell the word because using the Macarena, and I still remember how to do it. Number 4 is what examples of teaching or classroom management techniques that you saw in your field experience that you feel could be improved on. Give specific examples. Okay, so with like that whole sequence of body movements that I just showed, some of the students were like vocally doing that out loud. That's what vocally means. Duh. And like Mrs. King had taught her students like different steps of doing long division. And then one of the students would like say it out loud, but like in a very loud way that could be very distracting to the other students, but like she didn't do anything about it. And so I feel like something that could have been improved on was just like encouraging that student to say those reminders, those like verbal reminders, like quietly, or having them like written on a card for her. So just like however that she needs to process the steps in doing long division wouldn't distract the other students. And I feel like when Mrs. King was helping students like think out a problem, like if they were stuck, I feel like she gave the answers too fast, and she was more of just like a making sure they got the right answer, not as much facilitating thinking. And so I feel like if she just spent a little bit more time like asking thought-provoking questions and just like sitting down with the students and like helping them through it instead of just like giving them the answer, that would help them in the long run. And one other thing is that I feel she did math testing with her students, and that she reviewed like the long division process really quick, but I feel like it was too quick. And so I think something that could be improved on is just going over the process of long division a little bit more slowly and thought out so that the kids can remember it a little bit better. What are principles that you learned in this class that you saw on display in your field experience? Okay, this was like the coolest part of the whole field experience. I was like, as people were discussing things and as I was viewing and observing things, I was like, I know what that means. I just got super happy. So there's 3 main things that I thought of. The first one was discussing like IEP legalness, and like that whatever is on an IEP is like a legal bound contract, and the special ed teachers made sure to like very much emphasize this. And one of them was actually one of them was having an IEP meeting this past Friday, and one was preparing for one this upcoming week. And so they both emphasized the importance of like following what is on an IEP, or else you could lose your job. And seeing RTI work in real life, that one of the classrooms is a resource classroom, and so one of the teachers was like, yeah, the students go get their first tier instruction. I was like, I know what that means. And then they come to the resource classroom to get tier 3 instruction. And I was like, that means they're one-on-one. And so it was super cool just to be able to like take knowledge and like see it in action. And then also learning about the referral process and seeing that happen, that there were students that the special ed teachers had discussed with us of like they're going through the referral process and what that looks like and just how it's done at Rock Canyon. So I thought that was interesting as well. Do you like the classroom you were in? Is there something you wish you have gotten, is there something more you wish you would have gotten out of your field placement? I love the classrooms that we were in. The teachers were super cooperative, super helpful. The students were really fun. There was an age range from first grade all the way to sixth grade, and so we worked with students in between, and so I think that it helped us a lot, helped me a lot to see the different range of abilities and skill sets. And so, yes, I really did enjoy the classrooms I was in. And then I wish I would have gotten more like direction from the teachers, because I feel like we were only there for 2 weeks and we had specific assignments we needed to get done. So I feel like the teachers were just like making sure that we got our assignments done and just making sure that we got our hours done, that they weren't actually like taking the time to teach us from their perspective of like, this is how you would do this, this is how you do this, this is what I've done, this is what works, this is what doesn't work for me. And so I feel like the teachers were just more concerned about making sure that our assignments got done instead of just teaching us about being a special ed teacher. So I wish I would have gotten more teacher input that way, I guess. Do you have any concerns that took place during your field? If so, what did you do that could have been done to improve upon the situation? Oh, what did you do, or what could you have done to improve the situation? So there weren't any like actual concerns during the class time. Like, there was nothing that was like a huge red flag to me. The only thing that was like a semi-small problem was like because of COVID and the students only being there every other day, that there were some periods of time where there's nothing to do really. Like, there were no students in the classroom, or because of the kids are in the classroom for a shorter amount of time, and so the teachers only have a specific amount of time to get their instruction done, and so sometimes they just kind of like did what they wanted to do with their lessons, and we just kind of like sat back and were included when the kids were just like working on their own stuff, and like they're like, oh, just walk around and see if they need help. And so I just feel like because of like COVID mayhem, some situations just weren't ideal. But when there wasn't students in the classroom and we were just kind of like sitting there, Carrie, my partner, and we definitely talked to the teacher a lot about just like life as a special ed teacher, life as a teacher with COVID right now. Not like they had COVID, but like in the COVID situation. And just like life of a teacher and the process of doing special ed services and stuff like that. So I feel like we were productive with our time, but it just wasn't with students all the time. And then, what are 3 to 5 overall takeaway messages you gained? Bulletproof at least one paragraph giving. Okay, so the 4 takeaways I got were Mrs. King has a 4-to-1 rule, which I will explain. My other takeaway is that family involvement, especially with a kid receiving special ed services, is vital and super important. It's very important to have a relationship with your student in order to facilitate success. And then it's very vital to coordinate with a general ed teacher as a special ed teacher of coming up with like IEP goals and just success of a student. So I'll explain the 4-to-1 rule. So Mrs. King has a sign on her door that says like 4, it's just like 4 semicolon 1, so it's like a 4-to-1 ratio. And it is a reminder to her that for every like one criticism or like suggestion, there should be 4 positive comments made toward that student. So like if there is construction that needs to happen, like discipline or anything, there needs to be 4 positive things said to that student about them, just to make sure that the student feels good about themselves and know that like they're improving and that they're having success. And so I just think that was a really cool thing to think of and just facilitate a positive learning environment. And I'll talk about one more. I'll do gaining a relationship with students. So for some of the lessons that the phonics and the comprehension lesson that we were doing one-on-one with um, the students in the resource classroom. And both times, it probably took us like a minute or two before like the student would like actually say anything to us and like want to participate, simply because they didn't know us. They were like super shy, and it was just a very foreign situation for them to be around a teacher they don't know, doing things they're not like that are not in their routine. And so I feel like when you have a solid relationship with your student, like knowing who they are, what they like, their strengths, their weaknesses, and just having that bond, it makes the student more comfortable around you, which will facilitate a better learning environment. So I think that was all of the questions.